Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Gunslinger Ancestral skills. I'm going to be going over all 5 of them and showing off the differences between the different skills, and I'll compare them side by side. So let's just get right into it. So once you've opened up your Ancestral menu, you'll see that you have 6 Ancestrals, which is not the case. There's a duplicate for some reason. I don't know why, it's just a bug, you know, Archeage things. But we have 5 Ancestrals to go. We have the Ceaseless Fire ones, the Corrosive Barrage, Backdraft, Splinter Shell, that's a game, Splinter Shell, and Collateral Damage. So, starting off with Ceaseless Fire, you actually have 2 options here. You can either go into Flame or Lightning. Now, starting off by looking at the basic one, you have a ranged attack of plus 73%. And you can also hit multiple enemies if they're close enough, and it's not very flashy. But then compared to the Flame version, which has plus 219%, which does a ton more damage, but it will only hit 1 enemy at a time. It's only single target, so Flame is very nice to have, especially early on, because you won't do as much damage. But I think Flame, for me at least, feels the best. And then finally we have Ceaseless Fire Lightning. And this version has 54% ranged attack, which is less than the basic, but it does hit up to 20 enemies at once in like a cone shape. I'm not sure how it decides who to prioritize if there's more than 20, but you can hit a lot of enemies at once with this. You've got a nice cone shape. It's kind of fun to use, but at the same time, if you have low ranged attack, you're not going to be doing much damage with this. It feels extremely weak. So on this character that I'm using, I don't actually have any ranged attack because I'm spec'd into melee. So you'll see it's just like I'm doing nothing to these mobs right now. This very much could get better the more ranged attack you have, but Flame feels the nicest to use, for me at least. Alright, next up we have our second Ancestral, Corrosive Barrage. Now, there isn't a massive difference between these two. They both do the same thing, same cooldown, same ranged attack. The only difference is the basic version of Corrosive Barrage decreases the target's physical and magic defense by 10%, while the stone version decreases the target's physical defense by 17%. Now, it does say in the actual tooltip that it decreases physical and magic, but in the patch notes it doesn't say that. So I'm going to assume that how they balance it out is it doesn't decrease magic defense. So the visual difference here as well is the basic version has a more like a lightning effect to it, while the Corrosive Barrage version is more like a muddy stone look, as you'll be able to see here. Going with it seems like overall, I mean, if you're going to be going with the range route, you're probably going to be doing more physical damage than magic defense, so stone might just be the better option for that extra damage. So that's what I'd end up going with there. Alright, and next up we have Backdraft, which now has a lightning version. The difference between these two being the cooldown on the lightning version is a lot larger. So on the basic version you have a 16-second cooldown, on the lightning version you have a 25-second cooldown, but there is no cast time on the lightning version. While the basic one has a small cast time, you get locked in place for like a split second and then you get knocked back. You don't have that with lightning Backdraft. You just walk up to them, hit the ability, it goes off, you don't get locked in place, and you also don't get knocked back by it. The trade-off here is that you miss on 0.5 seconds of silence. So with the basic version, there's 2 seconds of silence. With lightning, there's 1.5. Overall, after using this a bit, I still think I actually like the basic version of Backdraft more. I've not really tested it as much in PvP, but I like the feel of having the knockback there and then being able to have that cooldown up. The visual difference between the two is pretty apparent because of that cast time, which I still don't think people would be able to dodge it in PvP due to ping. I feel like most people aren't going to get away from that regardless of if you go the lightning or the basic route, because it goes off very fast. It is only 0.4 seconds, so that's why I think the basic is still really solid. But yeah, the choice is up to you. Alright, next we have Splinter Shell, which has basic and flame. The difference here is a little weird. There isn't much difference outside of the fact that the basic version can damage friendly imprisons, flame barriers, healing circles, or shadow vortexes, and the flame version doesn't. But the flame version also seems to do 1% less damage in PvE, which I don't know if that matters much. Visually, the difference is pretty apparent when you look at the flame one, because the flame one kind of goes off twice. Like, you'll throw it and then it'll explode again, kind of like a cluster grenade, except it doesn't do more damage on the second explosion, which feels like that's maybe how it should have worked instead, to be a bit more interesting. But hey, it is what it is. Then finally we have Collateral Damage, which also has a Quake version, and the difference here is the Quake version actually has 524% ranged attack, while the basic version has 267% ranged attack. But instead of having a second shell that fires off and does 15% of each target's health, and also slows, you instead get a wave that does 8% of each target's max health, but it doesn't slow them either, so you only get that initial slow on the Quake version. And they've maybe tried to balance out by having the secondary part only deal 8% of each target's max health instead of 15% of each target's health. The Quake version also can't miss, so that's also another big advantage of the Quake version. Though, I don't know, when I was playing around with it, I just felt like I preferred the basic version. I like having that extra slow. I felt like I was doing just as much damage, if not more. I don't know. It's something I'd have to play around with a bit more. But I still like the basic version of Collateral Damage. The one problem with Collateral Damage is that the second shell can go too far. And, you know, you could maybe miss that second hit, while with the Quake version, you definitely wouldn't miss that. So Quake might work a bit better in PvP. And, of course, it's guaranteed to hit as well. So that's also a big advantage. But yeah, that is all the Ancestrals. Again, these have only just came out, so there's probably still more we can play around with and look at. But I just wanted to give like an initial look and compare them side by side a little bit, see what they were all like. I definitely need to set up a ranged attack character at some point, just to try out the later damage that we can get, or hop into an arena. I guess I could try that as well. But yeah, that's it. So thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all the usual YouTube stuff. Feel free to join our community over on Discord, and if you want to ask any other questions as well, feel free to comment or check me out on Twitch when I'm live, and I'll be talking about whatever we're doing that day. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.